Hello, hello, hello. It's so exciting to be here with you all. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Valerie Day, and I am the host of the podcast Prayers and Pussy, where we have candid conversations about spirituality and sexuality and everything in between. And it's hard to believe time flies when you're having fun, but we haven't been here for a year. So this is the inaugural session of our second season. And I'm super excited to have my friend, my mentor, my fellow practitioner peer, art queen, like just Stephanie Dawn here in the house with us. And Stephanie Dawn and I met. Some of you may be familiar with Agape International Spiritual Center. We were blessed to go through practitioner training there. And Stephanie, what year did you get licensed?
2001.
So Stephanie got licensed in 2001. That's when I went into training, was in 2001. I got licensed in 2003. And we met because Stephanie used to be the director of the art and beauty ministry at Agape. And what that is, she got to hang all the art on the walls of Agape. And she was a mama back then. And so while she loved that job, she needed to hand it off. And what you need to know is that I manifested this because I had a dream of having an art gallery. Well, if you have an art gallery, you have to pay rent at the art gallery, you have to hire people. There's a lot of cost, right? Well, this is a really good story about how, you can have a dream and not be attached to how it comes. And then here came, I got to be the director of the art and beauty ministry and hang art on the walls at Agape. And I remember the first time I was going to do a show, I was said to Stephanie, I'm so nervous about like the hanging the art part. And what did you said to me, you're like, that's the funnest part, Valerie. Like, I just thought I wouldn't know what to do. She's like, you're going to know what to do. And I did know what to do. So, but I wanted to have Stephanie here today because there's so many things that I love and adore about this woman. Right now, she's my mentor in my new water business. I have been, I'm a brand partner. Maybe I think we're like a month and a half, 2 months in with LumiVitae. And I'm just going to jump in and show my bottle, Steph, before I introduce you and have you talk. So yeah, here's our little bottles. And it's kind of groovy. It looks pretty. You turn it on. And Stephanie's a more expert, so if I don't like demonstrate it properly, but here you can see the bubbles. It's making hydrogen water. And then you also, it's got, if you see these dots, it has chromotherapy. So when I first got it, we were having all these challenges at my building. I'm talking softly so my neighbors don't hear. So I was putting it on, let me like move through. I was putting it on blue. You can't see it as well from here, but because blue is throat chakra and I needed all the help I could get with communication. And then when we were kind of done with that, I put it on green because that's your heart chakra. So for a while, and now I've been putting it on indigo because that's your pineal gland, your crown. What is this? Your pineal
Third
gland,
eye.
right?
Third eye.
Yeah, the third eye. Thank you. So what this does is it makes molecular hydrogen water. And hydrogen is the smallest molecule in the world, so it can get into places and spaces that nothing else can. And here, I mean, usually I just have to say, Steph, I haven't been on here before. Usually my guest is doing all the talking, but I just figured, we may as well start with how we got where we're at today, right this minute. So it has three, I don't know if you can see it. It's got energy, recovery, and LumiVitae. So LumiVitae stands for light of life. So I'm going to put it on LumiVitae right now. So not only is it creating hydrogen water and giving you chromotherapy, it's structuring the water. It has three ways. So I'm just going to let this run. I like to do, it has 3-minute, 6-minute, and 9-minute cycles. I like to do the 6. Steph's impatient. She does the 3. So I'm just going to let it run, and then in my other little bottle here, I didn't bring my tablets, but we'll talk about that later. I've got like some hydrogen tablets. And, before I passed the baton to Steph, like I was before Stephanie introduced me to this groovy device, my chiropractor turned me on to hydrogen water and with little tablets, which we can show you those later. But then Stephanie, who is an amazing um, affiliate marketer, the affiliate marketing queen, and that's because she just is so respected in, for years she's been an advocate in really our food system. And if, I'm going to let her talk all about like that, but just, she represented a beautiful organic food product that, helps get glyphosate out of your system. But I kind of watched her over the last year with this beautiful LumiVitae bottle, and I'm going to pass the baton to you. And if there's anything I missed about your background stuff, because I was getting all excited and we just ramble here at this podcast. But I want to, tell them about how you got introduced to the device and, from your, doctor in Arizona and kind of your cancer healing journey, and then how you got to LumiVitae, and then we can talk about all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, sure. Sounds great. Well, it's so good to be here, Val, with you in this space because from the minute I knew that you were doing this, I was like, I want to have a conversation with you. Like I love the idea of bringing the sacred into every aspect of our human lives, and particularly around sexuality. I'm more liberal than most, and I've raised my children in a very liberal way when it comes to talking about sex, and it's just something that I feel we as Americans need to be talking about more. So I was really glad that you launched this whole series of conversations, and I'm really happy to be here. So thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, we do go way back. And you know, um, speaking of the sacred, uh when I was so I'm an artist, and when I had the incredible honor of being the director of the Ministry of Art and Beauty, I felt like I died and gone to heaven, because I was able to like connect with these incredible devotional artists who were just creating the most beautiful work, and I got to curate it all. And so for 5 years I did that, and it was such a dream come true for me. I loved every minute of it, and I loved that the conversations that I would have with the artists, and the shows that we would produce there, and then of course the hallways. I mean, Agave was this huge space. So talk about, I don't actually recall your dream to have an art gallery. So that's really cool that this was the manifestation of your dream.
Right?
Agape was huge, right? Like there's the huge
Yes.
sanctuary, and then there's all the hallways, and every hallway
Yeah.
had art in it. So we needed to be, in conversations with 4 or 5 artists at any given time, and they would have like what, a 2 or 3 month stint, and then we'd have
Yes.
new artists coming in. So it was just so much fun, Val, and I was so happy to be able to pass the baton to you. It was hard for me to give that job up, but it was just too,
Oh, I'm sure. Oh my gosh.
it was, because we'd have art openings, and it was just the best. It was the best. And
Right. It was.
and I got to curate with Reverend Michael before he became such a big deal after The Secret, right? So that was really fun to actually be able to choose artwork and artists with Reverend Michael. That was just such a blessing.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that part.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then he just became way too busy after The Secret launched, because that just put
Yeah.
Agape on the map and put him on the map. So, anyways, so here we are. It's what, 20 years later?
Right? Yes. 20, more than 20. Yeah, 20 years later.
20 years later, we've stayed in touch via Facebook, really predominantly. And yeah, so I got a cancer diagnosis 6 years ago, stage 3 metastatic breast cancer. And then it elevated to stage 4 2 years ago in 2023. And it's been a bit of a roller coaster with my health. And I've been very public with my health. So Val's been, you've been following along with me on Facebook as I share all the things. And because I really, I'm that alternative chick, and I pursued
Mhm,
an alternative route to heal cancer for the first 4 years
mhm, mhm.
until the stage 4 diagnosis, because then I was very, well, I was still a little bit stubborn. I wanted to heal the appearance of cancer in my body naturally until I was bedridden and in so much pain that I knew that I needed to make a different choice. And it was sort of at the same time that I found the molecular hydrogen water. I met a doctor in Scottsdale, Arizona, who was working with many people who were on chemo in Scottsdale and then giving them all these very healthy IVs. And so I was doing all these very healthy IVs without the chemo. And
Mhm.
what I learned afterwards is that I needed to be doing the chemo alongside of it because the chemo was killing the cancer and the all the healthy IVs were boosting the immune system. And you'd think that, boosting the immune system would get rid of the cancer, but no, because cancer is really sneaky. It hides. And so, once I finally pivoted and did the metronomic low dose chemotherapy, which is like a third of a standard chemotherapy, you sort of entice the cancer out with vitamin C, and then you
Oh,
annihilate it with the with the metronomic low dose chemotherapy. So
oh, wow. So the
yeah,
vitamin C entices it out of its hiding place.
yep,
How in God's name do they figure that out? That's amazing.
I know. So, and I was working with, one of the only, well, there's only like a very small handful of doctors in the United States that actually work with metronomic low dose chemotherapy. Most doctors do full on chemotherapy, which has, not that great of a track record, in my opinion, my not so humble opinion. So,
Right.
but coming back to Scottsdale, yeah, so the doctor there, Dr. Franco, is his name, at a place called Sunridge Medical Center, was all about molecular hydrogen and was sharing studies with my sister and I, and we were like, whoa. And they were recent studies, like in the last couple of years, mostly out of Asia, Japan. And it was provocative, like we were leaning in. And so we said yes. Yes to the molecular hydrogen via cannula. So I had a little, nasal thing that the gas went into. Yes to the IVs. They were actually pumping molecular hydrogen gas into my blood. And then yes,
Wow.
yeah. And then yes to a device that he sold us that he bought off of Amazon, a water device. And so we didn't know any better, but he's like, yeah, I tried like 8 or 9 devices, and this was the only one, he said, that produced molecular hydrogen in the water. And what I've since learned is that not only was it pumping molecular hydrogen gas into the water, but it was most likely allowing heavy metals to leach into the water in that device that he sold us. And that
Mm.
I couldn't do. And so, then shortly thereafter, like almost immediate, like when I was still in Scottsdale, actually, a girlfriend of mine was posting this device into her stories on Instagram and Facebook. And I was like, that looks an awful lot like my device. I said, is that mine? She goes, no, no, this is a company out of Portugal. And I was like, oh, tell me more. So she started telling me more. And what I loved about it, because, I'm someone who wants to live first, and I'm a businesswoman second. And so when she started telling me about the inventor of this device is a clinician in Lisbon, Portugal, and has helped thousands of people with molecular hydrogen water, I was really sold. I was like, wow, he is doing this for his patients. And that's the very first thing that he gives them before he gives them any other dietary protocol or, supplements or anything like that. He gives them the water. And I was just fascinated, absolutely fascinated. And then, that coupled with what Dr. Franco was showing me about molecular hydrogen and cancer in
Mhm,
Scottsdale when I first sat down with him, I was sold. I was absolutely sold on
mhm.
this device. And so, and the power of molecular hydrogen to help people. And so initially it was all about cancer for me, but what I've since learned is that molecular hydrogen water, if you drink it every day, can affect so many different health issues. And that's been absolutely fascinating to me. So if you're human, it can benefit you. Yeah. Yes.
Well, right, like, I was all turned on to it because of, I geek out on all this biohacking stuff, so I listen to people like Dave Asprey, who's like the, godfather of biohacking, and he always talks about mitochondrial health, and, like, this is what's helping our mitochondria, and our mitochondria, right, is like, if you have healthy mitochondria, then you're gonna be healthy.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that I didn't actually know that he speaks about that because I don't really follow him, but he kind of gives me weird vibes, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's okay. I know, but I still like him. But
Yeah.
I know why. I know why you feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I don't know. It's just it's an energy thing. But anyway,
yeah.
um it's interesting though that he does mention that because I've always referred to, with all the research that I've done, cancer as mitochondrial dysfunction. So, the fact that this can help with mitochondrial function is what we want. It's what we want, you know?
Yes.
So, anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really it's sad that people, right, they hear about this device and then they go to Amazon and they buy something thinking, like your doctor said, he tested he tested 9 devices and this was only one of the 9 that
Uh,
actually created hydrogen. But then
yeah,
that the process is so dirty that, if they don't have the right components, that then it's like leaching heavy metals. And like what y'all need to know is, like, Steph probably spent like 2 or 3 months getting heavy metals out of her body.
I
And
did.
anybody that's on a healing journey, like they're doing, that's on a natural healing journey, right, is doing like all of these, you
Yeah.
know, cleansing protocols.
Yeah, yeah, I sure did. I spent many months because, Val, so I've lost vision in my left eye, which they say
Hmm.
is connected to the cancer, but we don't know for sure. And I was having severe migraine headaches that were stemming from behind my left eye before I actually got the breast cancer diagnosis. And
Hmm.
I thought it was mercury that had from improper mercury amalgam removal. I thought it was
Hmm.
mercury that had gotten into my bloodstream and, sort of frozen the eye, which it still could be, who knows? Because the
Hmm.
lid doesn't shut and the pupil doesn't close. And so I got a download when I was at Hope for Cancer, because I initially went to Hope for Cancer in Mexico to heal my body, which is a year-long program. And I was there for, I think, my third visit, third and final visit in June of 2020. So it was during COVID. And I was sitting around with all the women who were there. It was Sunday night. We'd all arrived and then we go into we get all of our blood work done that Monday. And so none of that had happened. And we're all sitting around chatting after dinner about heavy metal toxicity. And all of a sudden I was like, what? Something just like alighted in my brain that this could potentially be heavy metals. And so as soon as I got back, I started on a heavy metal protocol and heavy metal detox protocol, I should say. And I did that for like 6 months religiously. And the migraines went away. They went away.
Wow. Wow. And that's a point, right, to our listeners, right, that you've been on your journey, right? Like your practices that you learned way back when you got licensed in 2001 as a practitioner, right? That you've taken them through one of Stephanie's early positions, that she was a birth coach and mentored and trained birth coaches, then a business coach, and like, but all of this while, right, you've really tapped into, right, your intuition, right? You were open, you got that message, like, oh, red alert, red alert, red alert. That was like a down, like you said, I like we use the word download
Yeah.
of like, hey, something you need to pay attention to. And then you did, and then look. Now,
Yeah.
but question, didn't you like, weren't you like, you had the breast cancer and you were cancer free? And then how much time between being cancer free and then your second
So
diagnosis?
here's the thing about that term cancer free. Um,
Okay, yeah, educate
I
me.
was getting muscle tested by a naturopath up here in the Seattle area, and she said, I don't detect any cancer in your body at all. Yeah,
Okay.
this was like 2021, 2022, approximately. Maybe 2021, 2020. And I was like, oh, great. I'm like, I'm good to go. And I stopped monitoring it. I stopped testing. I just was like, oh, I'm fine now, and I let it go, which was not the thing to do. So,
Oh, so pay
mhm,
attention, people.
yeah, no, you got to keep monitoring your blood work. You got to keep, refining your diet, managing your health. Like you can't just go unconscious. And I did go a little bit unconscious about it all because I just wanted to live my life. But also, hello, it was COVID.
Right.
And I'm a very staunch medical freedom um, activist. And COVID really did a number on my consciousness. I was very upset with what was being perpetrated on the world. And I felt like I was fighting the president of the United States. I felt like I was fighting the governor of California
Governor.
who wanted to
Yes.
mandate the vaccine for all children. My children are completely unvaccinated. I felt like I was fighting the Los Angeles school district that wanted to vaccinate all school-age children, and my ex who wanted to vaccinate our unvaccinated children. And then all my entire family was getting the vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine, and I'm not a believer in vaccination as a path to health. That's just my personal opinion. And now we see so many people have been harmed by that vaccine and have died, sadly. And many people believe they were saved, and that's their prerogative. But I was in a world of hurt back then. I
Hmm.
thought my whole family was going to die that took the vaccine, and I felt very alone, and very sad and very angry. And I was going through a divorce at the time and custody issues
Hmm.
with my ex, and was really like finding it very hard to just live through every day. And so, yeah, it escalated to stage 4 cancer, you know? So, yeah, it's not a surprise to me that all occurred the way that it did. So I've had to really,
Right, because that's a lot. That's a lot for your body. That's like overload,
yeah,
right?
it was,
Divorce alone, just the stress of divorce alone is enough for somebody to get, right, cancer. And then add on like, you know, staunch medical freedom and all of your rights are being violated
oh,
all over the place. And then the fear and yeah, just
yeah. And I was very vocal, Val, as you know, and
yeah.
very public about what I believed. And I just felt like, I just felt like the world was being sold a bill of goods. And I was
Mhm,
furious about
mhm,
it. And so,
mhm,
you know, I mean, I'm not a licensed practitioner of truth anymore, but I really had to work my knowing around what the truth was. And, but it was hard. It was really hard. It was really hard. I just felt like everyone was moving from a place of fear. And we know
yes.
that nothing good comes out of motivation or intention from fear. And I really had to work to just be in a space of love every day. And so,
Right, because you were meeting them with your own fears, right? How did you like unravel that? Like, how did you get out of it? Because you were in a fear path just like the rest of them. How did you
what?
unravel it?
I had fallen into a space of fear. Um, I studied a book called Letting Go
By who?
by David Hawkins,
Oh, okay.
all about surrender.
Mm.
And someone's calling me.
We
And
bless them. Thanks for being in our podcast, little caller.
and so um that book really helped me because I recognized what I was doing. And I
Uh,
recognized that I could, and I was in judgment, full on judgment.
Oh
And so
yeah.
the very things that I proclaim to to think about myself, I was actually enacting and energizing.
Oh,
And so that was very,
so fascinating.
yeah. Yeah, it was very illuminating for me. And, just this is the thing about the practitioner path. We do fall down.
Yeah, we're human, honey.
We fall down, right? And what Reverend Michael would always say to us is practitioners get back up again.
Yes.
And they
And that's what you did with that book. The book helped you see the light. Like the only way we can change is through self-awareness. So you got the self-awareness, and then you were like, oh shit, I'm projecting. Like we're having a little like fear, fear mirror here, you
Oh
know?
yeah, 100%. And I ultimately came into this place, Val, of acceptance of my family's choices, of their sovereignty, of their medical freedom.
Yeah, yes, 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 yes. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that is powerful.
Yeah. And
Yes.
and that all that mattered was that I love them
Mm, mm,
just as they are,
yeah,
that they are sovereign, making their own decisions, and they chose to do that.
right. Yes.
Prior, I was taking it personally. Why didn't you ask me for my opinion before you did that to your body? You know how much research I've done on vaccines. You know what I know about big
Right.
pharma. You know all the research I've done about
Right.
cancer and the allopathic model and Western medicine. And I was taking it all personally, all of it.
Right.
And so it was hard, 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 hard. And COVID was hard for all of us. I don't think there's one
Right.
of us that lived through that that didn't experience a lot of suffering. But I came out the other side and, just found the love of my family. And anyone that
Yeah.
did that to themselves, that did what I thought was,
Mm,
a bad thing or a wrong thing. It's like I just have to remove all the judgment and just let people be themselves. And honestly, since that time, I'm not that activist anymore. Like I've dropped the sword. Dunk.
well, and so when you started getting the micro, if I'm saying it right, microdose metronomic chemo, was that the point? Was that the journey of dropping my sword?
It
Was it
was
when you had
prior.
to come to peace? It was prior.
It was
Oh, so
prior.
you needed to do it before you could actually say, I can do allopathy.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
that was the
No.
dropping the sword was the step of like, okay, oh my God, I cannot even believe I'm thinking about getting chemo. But that was like the journey to getting chemo,
Oh yeah. No, that was
was
definitely
dropping the
a
sword.
stepping
Okay.
stone.
Was there a thing? Was there a moment? Was there a something that that you remember, like, or was it a process?
So of dropping the sword,
Yeah. Because I mean,
that
you've
came.
been, yeah.
That was a bit more of a process after I had, because I took a month and a half away from my family because I realized that how I was behaving was incorrect and improper. But I needed to do my own sort of soul excavation work to understand why. And I needed to take space from them. And so I did. And I think it was shortly after all that that I really stopped being that person online because
Hmm.
um, I was hardcore online. Hardcore. Lost a lot of friends, but I gained a whole bunch too.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
Because
I
when you're
had
in
lost
when
people.
you're on an extreme, right, you've got like people that are in your camp, and like,
Yeah,
and they probably needed you, right? They needed their, person that was
a
speaking
lot of
their,
people too. I own that.
yeah,
I own that I was able to wake up a lot of people too who really thanked me and not just woke them up, but they saw me doing that, so they had confidence in their own beliefs, right?
right, right.
And that's kind of, yeah, I don't take pride in that, it's just it was part of the journey. Like that the people were like, "Oh, Steph, thank you so much for all that you said." And it was just an end result of my being so public and what have you. But I think that, as an activist, I've just softened a lot. You-
Oh, I love that word. Soften is so, yes. Yes, like it's such a great
Yeah.
place and space to be as softer. And yeah, I mean, because I'm constantly like working with softening, 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 because um, as a single woman for a long time, I can show up kind of hard. While physically present very feminine, energetically, I'm very masculine, so I'm a little bit hard, and so it's like soften, soften. Softening is such a great spiritual practice.
Yeah, it's what needed to happen for me. And also the whole cancer journey has been so humbling, Val,
Oh,
because I've had to receive in ways that I'd never received in the past. Had to go through, I'm gonna get emotional. I've had to go through the dark night of the soul and traverse depression, which I'd never had any cognizance of prior. I could never relate to people who were depressed. I was always so exuberant and happy and positive, and I just, I've traversed that. I've had to go into those really dark places of reconciling, like, am I supposed to be here?
mm,
Cancer really asks that of you. It's like,
right.
am I supposed to be here? And if I am supposed to be here, what am I supposed to be doing?
Mm,
You know? So,
yeah,
um,
very deep.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. And so obviously, I got the message like, yeah, Steph,
yes.
you're supposed to be here. You've got work to do. And I'm very clear what that work is, Val, and you're a part of that now.
Yeah.
You're a part of the light work that that began as a practitioner at Agape and continues like 2 decades later in the
Mm.
form of the leadership that I has been bestowed upon me now for this beautiful organization that is about bringing more light into the world. So it's, and finding LumiVitae when I did was no accident because when I got home from Scottsdale, Arizona, uh, things got worse. With
After your first chemo round.
no, 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 no.
Oh,
Scottsdale was not chemo; it was still all natural.
oh, you hadn't gone. Okay,
No, no. So it was
okay.
Christmas time. It was Christmas time, 2023, and I was very debilitated physically, and I was like being in my body and going, okay, this is not good. Like things are getting worse. Like what is going on? And so I said to my sister, I'm like, I need to make a different choice because we were going to go back to Scottsdale in February. I'm like, no, sis, I'm not going back to Scottsdale. I need to do something else. And so I reached out to a naturopath that her sister-in-law had recommended, who has a focus on cancer. And her I talked to her front desk gal, and she says, "Oh, in order to work with Dr. Darvish, you need to work with, it's Washington state law that you need to work with an oncologist." And I was like, "Oh God,
We're
really?"
gonna get you
Like,
there yet, baby.
yeah. So it was like all arrows were pointing to, but what was cool is that they referred me. I'm like, okay, what would you recommend? And they referred me to Dr. Chu and Dr. Chen. But the
Dr.
only
Chu.
two metronomic low dose chemotherapy doctors in the region. Okay.
Wow.
And so Dr. Chu had been doing it for over 20 years. Dr. Chen,
Wow.
acolyte who'd learned from him. And Dr. Chen wanted a bone marrow biopsy. I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that.
Why is that really invasive? Like, what is it? What made you not want to do that?
I didn't want anything invasive. I'm like the procedure, anti-intervention girl. I want as
Okay.
little as possible, you know.
Okay.
So I had natural births for heaven's sakes. Like I want the body to do
Right.
what the body needs to do, and
Okay.
I'm
You're
not
like,
getting
no, you're not getting into my bone marrow. Okay. So you said no.
no. So I I I went to go meet with Dr. Chu, and he was very confident that he could help me.
Mm.
And I was in a lot of pain by the time I finally got the appointment with him. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So pain is a powerful motivator.
Mm,
And
yes.
I don't scare easily, but I was a little bit afraid,
Hmm.
you know, that things were as bad as they were. Um, and so I started working with him, didn't even go back to Dr. Darvish because I had my hands full with the protocol that I was doing with Dr. Chu. He ended up having a naturopath there on staff. So I kind of got both, you know. She
Hmm.
helped me ameliorate all the, side effects of the chemo. And I did that for 11 months last year. And so I'm now in recovery and very gratefully in recovery. And I'm not out of the woods.
Okay.
I'm not, yeah, thank you. I'm not NED, which is no evidence of disease. There still is some activity, but it's all manageable without chemo. So I'm walking forward in a good way, walking in the light, same as it ever was, and really using all the skills that I acquired at Agape and through all my years of practice to address this situation. Like I've never been afraid of the appearance of cancer in my body. And I say appearance of cancer in my body because I don't believe that my body's out to get me. I don't believe that the cancer is going to kill me. I don't believe any of that. And
Right.
no. And so I believe, and I said this, I think in the presentation that I did last night, um, that no 3D diagnosis is more powerful than my life force.
Amen. Okay, everybody, listen to that. That's worth repeating. No 3D diagnosis is more powerful than your light force. Like,
Yeah,
really take that in. Any of you out there that are struggling with some diagnosis or condition or something, like, just remember no 3D diagnosis is greater than your light force. Yeah, that's great stuff.
yeah, yeah. And that definitely comes from all those years of being at Agape and listening to Reverend Michael and knowing that our bodies are magnificent. Our bodies are made with the divine intelligence. And I don't buy into the fear that the cancer world likes to put upon patients. You know,
Hmm.
I was getting my nails done yesterday, and aren't they pretty? And
They're
and
beautiful. Mine need to be done.
I love this color so much. Anyways,
They look great on you.
I've got HD TV going, and it's there in the salon, and I'm watching it, and it's this ad for some .com for cancer, and it says cancer is frightening, and I was like, oh God. So I really feel for people that are dealing with a cancer diagnosis because be afraid, be very afraid, and then we've got you right where we want you, and then we proceed to bankrupt you. So, I'm just, I can't help it. I'm like,
Right.
I can't help it. I'm like, people, don't fall into the fear, and that's what I think our work with Agape and as practitioners did for us is it helped us replace fear with all these other amazing tools at our disposal to rewire the brain to know another
Yes.
reality is possible.
Yes.
You-
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, we just had a practitioner Sunday a few weeks ago at Pacific Coast, which is, the organization that the church that holds my practitioner license. And one of the memories I had, we were doing a panel, like four practitioners were being interviewed by the minister. And I can remember, I think I was in like Psalm 2, we called it back then, being in my apartment in West LA outside of it, and like physically having this experience of like a weight being lifted from my shoulders. And I grew up in a household where worrying was like normal. Like my mom and dad were big, giant worriers. And I just early on in the teachings where I felt that lift, that weight lifted of worrying. I mean, and not that I don't worry, I'm human, but it's like the teaching really helps us not be worriers.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
Not at all. So I'm forever grateful to what I learned at Agape and I don't attend services anymore there, or at any Science of Mind church for that matter, but the teachings live on inside of my consciousness. Like every day I'm reminded of the science of mind. and how powerful our minds are and how we can use our minds to create another world.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, a couple things, I was on Stephanie, had a call last night for her inner circle to just talk about her healing and health update. And there were a couple things you shared with the group. Tell us about the light meditations that you're doing.
Mm.
I just thought that was like powerful, and the things that you're doing, on a spiritual level to support yourself as you're on your, healing journey.
Yeah, thanks. So a few months ago, I was getting, God talks to us all, I think, if we stop or quiet enough to listen. And I was getting the message loud and clear that I needed to spend more time in the light. I needed to be doing light meditations. And I didn't quite know what that meant, but it didn't really matter because this person showed up in my field, introduced to me by Colette Schnabel, actually, Valerie. And his name is Gary Kiss, and he has this amazing technology called a biophoton sphere. And he
Love
actually
it.
has like these physical spheres, that you can purchase them. And they emit biophoton energy, which is like the energy of the sun. It's light. And so he also has what's called a biophoton stream. And it's a stream of a sphere that you can, log into. There's a membership, and you can have access to the biophoton, the visual of it, revolving. It's the stream of the biophoton. And then there's a recorded meditation, about 30 minutes. And so I did a free meditation with him, and I was blown away by what I experienced in the meditation, and I just knew that I needed this in my life. And so now I have access to these biophoton streams and healing meditations like twice a day, and each meditation has a specific focus. So the one that I
Mm,
do over and over and over again is the musculoskeletal meditation.
okay.
I'm dealing with metastatic breast cancer to the bones, which is separate from bone cancer, just FYI. Like
Okay.
there's bone cancer, and then there's breast cancer that's metastasized to the bone. So it's two different types of cancer.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't
Mhm.
know that.
Yeah. So I've been doing these light meditations, and I just find them to be just dreamy. Absolutely dreamy. I love that I can do this for myself. It's medicine, you know, it's medicine. So, if anyone's interested in learning more about that, just reach out, and I have a link. And Colette and I are going to be producing monthly meditations with Gary so that people can come for free. And then if they want, they can carry on with the subscription. But yeah, I don't know that we're living through. I mean, there are some that's it's arguable. There are some people who could say that we're living through the darkest times ever, right? And
Right.
but I've done a lot of, you know, I know a lot about our history as humans on this planet, and there's been some pretty dark times on planet Earth. Pretty dark times. I think we're aware of more now because of the internet and you
And the news is like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's yeah, wars and rumors of wars. Like Reverend Michael, we used to pray about it all the time at Agape, right? And so, for those of us who are called to do light work, we must be doing our work. We must be doing our light work. And,
yes.
different people will define that differently. For me, this is really helping me to stay in the light, these meditations. And so, um, it's part of the practice, of being a light worker. You got to hang out in the light, and that means getting into the sun too. you know
Right. Yes.
you got to get into the sun. That's really important, or get outside. We can't just be inside all the time in front of a screen. We need to be out in the world doing things. It's really important. And I think that, I lost track of that when I lived in LA. I lost track of that need. I
Hmm.
thought because I lived in Southern California, I was getting enough vitamin D, and I was not. and I wasn't getting outside enough at all. And, now that I live in the Pacific Northwest, I feel like I'm constantly being beckoned to go outside because I live in nature. You can see it's
Mm,
green all around me, right?
it's
And so
gorgeous.
it's constantly asking me to go outside. And when I was bedridden, Val, a year and a half ago, I couldn't go outside. And
Mm,
I can remember feeling so grateful for the ability in the past to go outside and that I really hope
mm.
that I get to go outside again, you know? So yeah, girl, I was on like opioids just to like get up and move around in my home. Like it was bad. It was so
Mm.
bad.
Right. And so, like, let's just celebrate. Like, you're up and about and getting on planes. And next week, she's going. When do you fly to Florida? She's going to go be with Joe Dispenza for the week.
On
Like,
Monday.
yeah. So that's also part of her work. And I'm jealous of that. And I'm going to do it. And I'll report back at some point. Yeah. I need to take. So his intro course is only online, right? He doesn't do the intro in person.
No, it's only
Yeah.
online. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you did it first, was the intro course only online, or did you get to
Mm.
do the intro in person?
No, it was only online then too.
All
Yeah, no,
right.
he's evolved so much. He's evolved so much over the years. Do you remember when he used to come talk at Agape?
I don't.
Oh yeah. Do you remember that film What the Bleep Do We Know?
Yes, 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 of course.
Right,
Yeah.
so he was in that.
Yes, yes.
And he came to talk right after that, or maybe right before it, I don't know. But yeah, no, he's been on my radar for a long time now, long time. So, and I love his
I
books so
love it.
much. Becoming Supernatural is one of the best books I've ever read. Such a great book, Becoming Supernatural. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Joe just really holds that space of unlimitedness for us all. He
Mm.
refers to us when we're in his workshops, he refers to us all as geniuses.
Oh,
Like, who does that? Who does that?
right.
Nobody.
Because he knows. He knows. He sees the truth.
Exactly. And he's ministering to us at these workshops. It's profound, Valerie. He doesn't mention God and he doesn't talk about religion in any way, but he's absolutely ministering to us for 7 days. It is a profound experience, and I really want it for you and for anyone that wants to learn more about him. Like he's just, we meditate 5 times a day.
That's amazing. Yes. Okay. So, well, I want to, we could keep talking for another hour,
We
but I
could.
know you have an appointment. I would love to ask more, but I want to
We'll
know
do a,
more.
we'll do a part two because we didn't
We'll
even
do a
get to the
part
sex
two.
part. We got
Well, okay, so but we need to know it's we talk about spirituality and sexuality and everything in between. That doesn't mean like each episode we're talking about that. Like it's just, but we could
yeah,
talk
but I
about
want
sex.
to talk about it.
Oh, you want to talk about, okay, well, we can talk about sex. Okay, well, next time we'll come back and so uh yeah, anything else you want to say before we close out?
Oh, I've just loved this. This has been brilliant. Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate you.
you.
And I love that, are holding this space for myself. It's been great to just explore with you my journey and yeah, may it continue.
Yeah. So I have a tradition of closing with prayer. And before I do that, so in the show notes, we'll put a link if you guys are interested in our yummy bottle. You can also private message me. We'll put Stephanie's like light meditation link,
Yeah.
in there as well. And anything else we think of after the fact that we haven't remembered, we'll put down there in the notes, or you can, if you have questions, please ask in the comments. And I have a special going on, a birthday special as a practitioner. In addition to my beautiful water business, I'm a licensed practitioner with Centers for Spiritual Living, and from until August 27th, I've got a really amazing special where you can get 62-minute session for $60. Or wait, it was a 60-minute session for $62. I've messed it up. I just turned 62 July 27th. So I'm offering a little special because I really want to have an opportunity to sit with you. And, transformation happens through being deeply heard. And that's what the gift I give. So reach out. I'll put my calendar link in there as well in case you want to book a session. And, I love you all. And one other question before we pray is, the podcast is called Prayers and Pussy, and I was contemplating changing it to the Valerie Day Show, and I got an uproar from everybody like, no, you have to keep it Prayers and Pussy. So just, give me your opinion in the comments, what you think about, should it be Valerie Day Show or should it be Prayers and Pussy? And with that, let us pray. So we just come to the altar of prayer, just recognizing that one mind, that one power, that one infinite intelligence in all, as all, through all, my life, the one life. We just know that this one life is expressing in its fullness and allness, as Stephanie Dawn, as everybody that's listening to this call, or is yet to hear this call, or doesn't even hear this call, that life is expressing in, through, and as each one of us. So what I know today is that not only have we gotten to have a yummy, wonderful, deep, meaningful conversation between two soul sisters, but just by showing up and being our authentic selves, that we have raised the vibration of the planet. So we just hold this prayer of peace, of love, of joy, of light, of precious energy, just knowing that each person is receiving exactly what they need, that their deepest heart's desires are manifesting right here and right now. That our bodies are amazing and intelligent. And so if there's anything happening that seems separate from the wholeness that is our true nature, that it is being ameliorated right here, right now. We just know that God is expressing in its fullness and allness. And as Joe Dispenza says, geniuses, we are geniuses. So we just give thanks for the opportunity to just remember the wholeness and the isness and the allness that is our life. We give thanks for all the blessings, for all the gifts, for all the wisdom, for all the joy, for all the peace, for the infinite intelligence that is who and what we are. So for this and so much more, I'm just truly grateful. I release this prayer, the action of the law, knowing it's complete, knowing it's done, saying, and so it is. And so I let it be. Amen, 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 amen.
Beautiful. Juicy, wonderful.
Juicy,
I love it.
juicy.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Peace and blessings, beautiful ones. We'll see you again. This was our inaugural episode of season 2. Tell us what else you want to hear about, and Steph and I will be back soon.
Bye-bye.